Well, good morning. Welcome back to the broadcast, Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, November 15th, 2021. And our top stories today: a proposal to reunite workers with their retirement savings, and even minor intrusions pose a risk to retirement savers. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Austin Ramsey is a journalist with Bloomberg Law. Austin, great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, you have a great beat. You cover a lot of what's going on in Washington, D.C. on the Hill, and retirement is top of mind for you. And this week we had out of the, the subcommittee or the House committee, a new act, the RISE Act. What can you tell us about this new act?
Yeah, so the RISE Act came out of the Education and Labor Committee on the House side. And what we know about it now is that the intent is that this is going to be combined with Secure Act 2.0, which is what the House side of Congress has been working on to follow up on the Secure Act that they passed in 2019. The Secure Act, of course, allowed for pooled employer plans. It lowered the RMD, required minimum distributions for retirement plans. The whole point of these Secure Act measures are to encourage people to save for retirement and make it easier for companies to sponsor workplace retirement plans. So the RISE Act is going to be combined with Secure Act 2.0 on the House floor. And the big kind of top line from this measure is it would allow for the creation of an online retirement missing participants database. So as you are very well aware, a big problem with the 401k landscape that we have is workers in America are extremely mobile. On average, in a person's career, they change jobs somewhere around 12 times over the length of a career. And that means that each time they are, if they have access to some sort of workplace retirement savings account, they are accruing a small amount of benefits, say $1,000 to $5,000, maybe $7,000. And when they move to another job, often they're not bringing that accrued wealth with them. They're not rolling it over into an IRA. They're not rolling it over into their new employer's 401k account. And that's okay. You don't have to do a rollover, but you need to at least keep track of those savings. And many employers don't. Many employees don't. Often in case, employees don't even know that they have some type of 401k benefit because their employer might have an automatic enrollment program. They're not keeping, track of all of the paperwork that they get when they start a new job, and they're accruing some, wealth, and then they just leave it there. Yeah. And so this measure would allow for one online shop that the federal government would create, where participants can go and try and find the administrators for all of the different kind of workplace retirement accounts that they've had. Sometimes it's difficult to do that because a company may go under, a company may change its name. So this connects the participant with the administrator, not with the company, but who is running this plan, who is responsible for the administration of this plan, so that they can connect with them and they can either roll over all of their accounts or use those accounts once retirement age comes along. There are a couple of other minute, kind of areas to this plan, including making it just a little bit easier for 403Bs or nonprofit companies to participate in pooled employer plans. And it also allows for employers to provide financial incentives to participate in workplace retirement accounts. In other words, a gift card, not a lot of money, but a gift card, or some other kind of minute benefit. It can't be too much, but little kind of a little honey to try and attract the flies, if you will, to try and make more workers participate in workplace plans. The idea here, Congress is trying to make more people save for retirement because the evidence is clear. When more people save for retirement, the burden that it puts on the social safety net is lower.
Yeah, Absolutely. I mean, people should be being active participants in their own savings and their own lives, at least from my point of view, and not, and independent. Austin, going back to the central database, I know this has to go through the mechanisms of Congress. It leaves committee, it's got to go to the floor, it's got to be added to this act, it's got to go to the House. There's going to be probably based on what we know from Build Back Better, lots of iterations probably of this thing. But what the central database, has that raised any concerns? Have you heard any concerns? We're going to talk about cybersecurity and breaches in the next segment, what happened in Missouri. But any reaction from people you're talking to about a central database and what that means?
Well, interestingly, no. And the reason for that, Jeffrey, is because much of the data that this central database will rely on is already collected. The federal government already has access to a lot of this data, either through the Social Security Administration or through the IRS. What's really key and interesting about this database is that it's kind of using or wrangling in all of the different kind of data that the federal government collects on both workplace retirement plans and IRS data that you give the federal government when you file your taxes. It's wrangling all that data together and putting it in one place. There have been some, private sector companies that have tried to do this, and in fact, see a lot of promise in a one-stop shop that the federal government would run. They still think that their businesses could operate under this kind of model. But the idea here is really that, look, the federal government is probably in the best position to run a database like this because they already have access to much of the data that's required. Your employer, if you're in a workplace retirement account, they are already providing Form 5500s that give a name of a plan, the administrator of the plan, how much money is in the plan. It doesn't necessarily go down to participant level, data, but it's that top line data. But then when you file your own taxes, you're giving the IRS that participant level data. If you combine those two data sets, what the DOL has, and then of course what the Social Security Administration has, because you're also paying taxes to the Social Security system. If you combine all of these systems together, you can get a real sense of where all of the different workplace retirement accounts are in the United States, who participates in all of those accounts, how much money they participate to all of those accounts, how much money they are putting in, and how that money grows in the marketplace. And if you put it all together, you really get a good sense of the true landscape of the workplace retirement benefits in the United States.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. Again, I like the idea, the overall concept of getting people, hey, you should be keeping track of all your benefits, healthcare, 401k, retirement, pension, you name it, even unclaimed insurance. Well, thanks, Austin. Really appreciate that. I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about how even minor security breaches can pose a risk for retirement savers. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans, and we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Austin Ramsey of Bloomberg Law. Austin, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Thank you.
And we're going to shift gears, talk a little bit about cyber security. We hinted at it a little bit in the first segment with the talk about the central database, but there was a minor security breach recently in the Midwest. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so we've seen these large-scale attacks on city governments. You know, you mentioned earlier you're from Baltimore. You know, the Baltimore City Police Department has been attacked on a large scale before by foreign actors, local actors in some cases. Gaining access to huge databases that these government entities run. We've been waiting for something like this to happen, and it finally has. The public pension system for all of the educators, teachers, principals, and everything in between for the state of Missouri it's been hacked. And the way that it was hacked is interesting. A single email account, just one employee of this public pension system in Missouri, they clicked on something that they probably shouldn't have clicked on. They didn't know where that went. That downloaded some data onto that worker's computer. And for a few moments, about less than an hour, that actor had access to whatever that employee had access to. Now, it's important to note here, they did not gain access to any personal data that we know of yet of the full public pension system. What's important about this is that it happened, not necessarily how big of a hack it was, but that it happened, and that we know now that actors are targeting pension systems. We know that this is going to continue to happen on a broad scale for, huge public pension systems, but we expect it also to happen at the corporate level as well. Private companies that have, that run public or defined benefit style pension plans for big companies like Delta Airlines or American Airlines, all the way down to, your mom and pop shop, bagel shop that may have a small 401k account. We know that these systems are accruing and have access to an enormous amount of money. And we've been waiting for a while now for actors to target these systems, and it appears that now they're doing so.
Yeah, it's obviously disconcerting. You look at here what happened with, what was it, Experian or Verizon. I mean, it was only a matter of time before it happened. And you can put up all the great defenses. You can do all the employee training that you want. A spoof email. So all someone has to do is just do something and click, and boom, you're accessible over a period of time, and you may not even know it. How did the system respond? Were they? I think that's how you respond to things is indicative of management and long-term strategy. How did they respond to this?
They responded quickly. They knew that the system had been targeted. They knew that the system had been attacked within an hour, and they were able to shut that employee's account down before any bad actors were able to access data for public pensioners in the state of Missouri, and that deserves a round of applause. That's quick acting, and it just goes to show, in fact, how well the incredibly complex cyber systems that we have in place, in the United States and around the world. It goes to show, yes, bad actors can use these technologies to access data, but also we can design these systems to be safe, or at least to alert us when something bad is happening. But you mentioned something else that's really important here, and something that I really have targeted down in my reporting, is that this happened through one employee's email account. And what we know about cyber attacks on a broad scale is that, yes, you're right. Look, the Department of Labor, the federal government, is doubling down on cybersecurity issues like never before. But the way that these bad actors are targeting pension plans or really just, your personal data on a broad scale is at the individual level. They are sending out individual, sometimes personalized email messages with links, and people are clicking on these links, and they are, inadvertently downloading phishing software onto their computers that allows, bad actors to do a world of damage to your personal data and sometimes your personal wealth.
Yeah, you can do all the training that you want. Sometimes you can just have a bad day and make a futz click, and boom, you're at risk. And it'll be interesting, Austin, to see, one, how other systems respond, other organizations, how the industry responds, but also how regulators respond. Austin, we're going to have to leave it there. Great seeing you as always. Great reporting, great articles, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey. Look forward to it.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN AM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited, and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.